Hello, and welcome to the bookshelf. Thank you for joining me this evening. Now sit back, relax, and let's get into our story. I'd always been a skeptic, the kind of person who'd laugh off every urban legend or creepy rumor that went around my high school. Ghost stories, haunted houses, curses, none of it ever fazed me. I brushed it off as a mere superstition, the kind of thing people clung to in the absence of logic. But my views changed one fateful evening when I encountered something I couldn't explain, something I still think about every single day. It was the summer of my senior year when I first heard the name of the Darkwatcher. It started like any other story that someone would spin at a sleepover, one of those exaggerated tales meant to freak out your friends for the sake of some adrenaline. But this one stuck with me. It was my friend Alex who first mentioned it. We were sitting around a campfire in the woods, surrounded by our group of friends, the usual mix of laughter and nervous chatter filling the air. Alex, being the one who loved to mess with us the most, leaned in with a grin and told us about the creature he had heard of, known only as the Darkwatcher. "It's not like anything you've ever heard of," he said, his voice taking on a hushed tone that made me roll my eyes. "This thing watches you from the shadows. Not just any shadows, though. It can only see you in the places where the light doesn't quite reach. It lingers in the corners of your vision, just out of focus. And once it's seen you, well, that's when it begins." My friend snickered nervously, but I wasn't buying it. I leaned back against the tree, trying to tune out his creepy tale. The heat of the fire kept the mosquitoes at bay, and the distant sounds of the forest made the whole atmosphere feel like a scene out of a horror movie. Alice continued, "They say it watches from a distance for weeks, even months. The moment it sees you, it starts stalking you, silently, always out of sight, but never too far. Every time you turn a corner or look away, it's closer. You'll feel its eyes on you, but when you check, there's nothing there." "I'm serious," he said, his eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that made me shiver. "People who've seen it disappear, just vanish, like they were never there. No trace, no explanation. Some say the Dark Watcher feeds on fear. Others think it's something far worse. But no one knows for sure, because no one who's seen it has ever come back." My friends were all wide-eyed now, the firelight dancing in their faces. The air grew cooler as Alex's story deepened, each word drawing us into a web of unease. I wanted to laugh it off, but there was something unsettling about the way Alex spoke, like he truly believed it. "We should go out to the old farmhouse at the edge of town, the one everyone says is haunted. If we spend the night there, we'll see if we can spot it. It's the perfect place to test if the legend's true." I had no interest in going anywhere near the farmhouse, not because I believed Alex's story, but because it was a dumb idea. The house was the source of every spooky rumor in town. No one had lived there for years, and it was falling apart, covered in graffiti and decay. Still, something about that story stuck with me, lingering in the back of my mind. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept imagining someone or something watching me from the shadows. I tossed and turned in bed, my thoughts spiraling. I tried to dismiss it, but the images of dark eyes lurking just outside the edge of light wouldn't leave me. The Dark Watcher. I wasn't afraid of ghosts, but the idea of being watched by something unseen felt like a violation of every natural instinct. The next morning, Alex insisted on going to the farmhouse. I wasn't going to let my curiosity win, but my friends, Donna, Brad, and even my usually rational friend Liz, had all agreed to go. Peer pressure is a powerful thing, and soon enough, I found myself walking towards the decaying house with my friends. The overcast sky added to the somber atmosphere, and the air felt unnaturally still. The farmhouse loomed ahead, its windows shattered and its doors hanging off its hinges. Vines climbed up the sides, twisting around the wooden frame like the fingers of some ancient creature. The porch creaked as we stepped onto it, the boards weak from years of neglect. I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. There was something wrong about the place, something I couldn't explain. We went inside, cautiously making our way through the dust-filled hallways. The floorboards groaned beneath our feet, and the smell of mildew mixed with the musty scent of old wood. It was eerily quiet, with only the occasional scurrying sound of rats or mice in the walls. We explored the house for what felt like hours. The further we went, the more the silence seemed to press down on us. I had this nagging feeling that we weren't alone, that something was watching us, but I kept telling myself it was just my imagination. At one point, Brad jokingly shouted into the empty house, "Come out, Darkwatcher, we're not afraid of you." We all laughed nervously, but it felt forced. Then the air shifted. It happened so suddenly that I almost didn't notice at first. I was in a back room, staring at a rotting bookcase, when I felt a sudden chill. The temperature in the room seemed to drop, and the hairs on my arms stood on end. I turned towards the doorway, expecting to see my friends, but the hallway beyond was empty. I called out, but there was no answer. I stepped into the hallway, my pulse quickening. Something was wrong, like the air had become thicker, heavier. I could feel the weight of 1,000 eyes upon me, yet when I looked around, there was no one. My heart raced as I called out again. Still no response. It was then I saw it. In the far corner of the hallway, just beyond the reach of the flickering flashlight, was a figure, tall, with elongated limbs, his silhouette almost indistinct against the shadows. His face was obscured, but I could feel its eyes on me. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. It wasn't just a person, it was something else. But before I could react, the figure vanished into the darkness, leaving only an oppressive silence in its wake. I staggered backwards, my mind trying to rationalize what I'd just seen, but nothing made sense. I turned to run, but I felt something, no, someone, behind me, closing the distance with every step. I found my friends in the living room. They were standing in a tense circle, their eyes wide with fear. "Did you see it?" Donna asked, her voice shaky. "The thing in the corner?" I started, but my words trailed off. The room seemed too quiet, too still. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. "Let's get out of here," Brad said, his voice urgent. We made our way back toward the door, but as we reached the threshold, I saw it again. The Darkwatcher, standing just outside, its head tilted in a grotesque, unnatural way. The moment I looked at it, it blinked. And in that brief instant, it was closer. I couldn't even describe how it moved, only that it was impossibly fast. In a panic, we bolted from the house, running as fast as we could until we were out of the woods, breathless and terrified. My mind was spinning, trying to make sense of what we had seen. We didn't speak about it the entire walk back to town. We all knew what we had witnessed, but no one wanted to say it out loud. That thing, the Darkwatcher, wasn't a myth. But what terrified me the most was the realization that it had already seen us. It had been watching us long before we saw it. The thing about the Darkwatcher is that it doesn't just observe, it chooses. It knows when you've seen it, and once it's chosen you, there's no escape. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the corners of my room, half expecting to see its shadowy form lurking there. The whispers of my friends' fearful voices still echoed in my mind, and when I closed my eyes, I could still feel its presence, waiting. The worst part, I'm not sure when it started, but I know now the Darkwatcher is always watching, and it's getting closer.